My name is Erickson Harrell. I'm the officer that refused to remove his mask when asked to by the police department.
On November 22nd of 2013, which was the 50th anniversary of the JFK assassination, dressed wearing nothing but black with a black cape, holding a flagpole with an inverted U.S. flag, while also wearing the popular anonymous mask, Officer Erickson Harrell of North Miami Beach Police Department stood on a public sidewalk along University Drive in Plantation, Florida, to protest his civil rights of anonymity and to protest Obamacare.
Yeah, I've been thrown into the spotlight. Just trying to exercise my First Amendment. The whole, the Guy Fawkes mask, the anonymous mask, I realize there's a group of people out there, there's a culture that recognizes the mask as a form of protest, as a form of activism. So I put the mask on. I was standing out in the corner one day wearing the mask, and another gentleman saw me at the time, and he pulled over and actually joined me because he recognized the mask. He had his mask in the car, and that was the point I'm trying to make, that it's a culture. I work the night shift. I had just gotten off of work. I keep my mask in my truck and my cape in the truck and the flag and everything. So I decided to go out there that day. I put on my mask, put the cape on, grabbed the flag, stood on the side of the road, well off the roadway. I wasn't obstructing traffic anyway.
Now this man, 39-year-old Erickson Harrell, did not tell the responding officers that he was also a police officer. He says because he knew that more than likely he would not be arrested. He truly realizes that there's a greater risk at hand, to stand back and do nothing and expect our freedoms to stay. Which, even though having the fear of termination or backlash from his force, he feels there's more to policing than just arresting the bad guys. And that is standing up for people's rights and for the Constitution, which he swore to uphold and protect. He was a 4-year U.S. Marine, along with 15 years as a cop.
No more than 15 minutes on the scene, the first officer showed up. She told me she didn't want me standing there. She wanted me to leave, and I refused. At that point, I guess, she felt like I was challenging her, and she wanted to, show me who was boss, I guess. I explained to her the statute under the Florida state law that 876.12, the statute she charged me with, was not put into place for peaceful protests, individuals out on the side of the road just trying to express their First Amendment right.
According to Florida statute 876.12, states that wearing a mask, hood, or other device on a public way, no person or persons over the age of 16 years old shall wear any mask, hood, or device whereby any portion of the face is hidden, concealed, or covered, as to conceal their identity.
Her supervisor showed up, and at some point I guess they decided to arrest me for refusing to take the mask off and refusing to identify myself. I read a couple of articles where they thought I was part of this larger protest, and in actual reality I was alone at the time, so I was a soldier of one. I like that commercial. I only identified myself as a police officer after the fact because I didn't want to have the preferential treatment where, they didn't arrest me because they said, oh, you're a police officer. I wanted to demonstrate that, hey, I'm just like you, I'm just like everyone else. I want to be respected. I want my rights to be respected regardless of who I am.
This Florida state statute was formed in 1951. And like I said, it prohibits anyone older than 16 from wearing a mask, hood, or covering any portion of their face. Now, some legal experts say that this law was not intended to curb mass protests, which inadvertently makes Harrell the victim of an illegal arrest. Although police say that this statute is a necessary tool for fighting crime. In a Florida Supreme Court in 1981, it was found that the law prohibiting wearing masks in public was unconstitutional. So, legislators have made changes that mandated the law, and it's only allowed to be used when the person is intimidating, threatening, or harassing anyone, or if it's used to commit a crime, not to prevent anonymous protest. This law's sole intention is to keep anonymous commission of crimes from happening. So criminals, remember, during your next armed robbery, you cannot wear a mask. It is illegal.
Alright, so how are you doing?
Ray, you don't mind my record, do you?
Yeah, you can record all you want. I'm going to have to ask you to take the mask off, though.
Under what statute?
There's a statute.
I was merely trying to exercise my First Amendment right. The law was put into place back in maybe, late 1950s to combat the Klan when they were more public and trying to intimidate a certain class of people, a race of people. And the courts ruled that that statute was too vague. So they amended it to add the 876.155, where it says a person is not guilty of that crime unless they have the intent to, intimidate someone. I was recording the encounter because I knew this might be something that I might want to record. I was recording, and the sergeant came on scene. I guess he didn't like the idea I was recording, and he snatched the camera out of my hand saying it might be a weapon. The two officers on scene, they obviously didn't think it was a weapon, and I'm currently on administrative leave, and I guess if I'm found guilty of committing this, wearing a mask in public, my agency can, I guess, up into including maybe termination, other disciplinary actions, but I guess the worst would be possible, termination. So.
And what you were doing, would you do anything different?
No. What I was doing, I still to this day feel like it doesn't affect. It's not, that law is not in place for a peaceful protest. So I would definitely, I still want to do that. And since my awakening, I've realized there's much more of a greater issue at hand, and I try to express to them that for me, I have a daughter, I have children, and I don't have the luxury of not being involved. I think there's a greater risk at not being involved and not saying anything to our freedom and our way of life if we do nothing. We are the frontline defenders of to support and defend the Constitution. Our job is greater than just arresting people for petty crimes like marijuana. Our job is greater than writing tickets for speeding. Our job is to protect the unpopular speech, the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment. And I would just implore them to get involved and turn off the television, turn off the sports, and really live for the oath that they took an oath to, their city, their country. I think fear keeps a lot of people back from doing what they do, and for me, I've lost my fear. Now that I realize there's a war coming, and we're in the midst of it, and I no longer can be afraid, so it's time to fight.
In conclusion to this encounter, Harold's boss at North Palm Beach, Florida, Police Chief J. Scott Dennis, wrote a letter dated for December 6th demanding that Harold take a psychological evaluation. However, just a few days later, all the charges against Harold were dropped. A Broward County, Florida prosecutor, Sarah Nell Murphy, wrote in her closing memo that the 1951 Florida mask law was vague, ambiguous, and overboard, and that Harold had zero obligation to identify himself or to remove his mask. Not much longer after, the agency dismissed the psychological evaluation that was pending against Harold. Guys, like always, I appreciate everybody that watches my videos. Make sure and leave this video a thumbs up. Leave your comments in the comment section below. And don't forget to share on all your social media networks. Guys, other than that, I will see you all in the next video.